Well, let's see. Tomorrow, feedback detected. Let's see. Let's turn off the computer. Okay. Um, minimize that. Well, tomorrow I've got an interview for an assistant. I would like to say I'd like to start scheduling appointments by next week.
Okay.
But we'll see. But I'd like to. My goal is next Monday. But
Okay.
we'll see.
So after these initial trainings, if you look on the screen there under final assembly, you have a shadow session, a billing review and claims management, and business administration. So basically the shadow session ideally is done within the first couple of days of you starting to see patients and using the software. And what happens in those is basically you connect on GoToMeeting, and then your trainer, whether it's me or one of our other trainers, we basically just are on hold for an hour and a half. So that right in those beginning stages, as you're seeing patients, checking them in, charting, checking them out, if you have any immediate questions, like in the moment, you have someone there that you can pick up the phone and say, hey, can you look at this? Or, hey, this isn't working. Or, I don't remember how to get to this, or whatever the case may be.
Okay, got it. And that's probably going to be the first day of scheduling, the first day of actually seeing patients. I'm going to guess, by the way, is going to be like September 1 or like that first Saturday of September.
Okay, and that's fine too, even if it's a little bit far out. Sometimes it's even better that way because then, you know, you really retain whatever you retain, and what you don't know, you have somebody still there to help you.
Right.
After that shadow session, we do a billing review and claims management. Basically, that's like it says, it's a billing review, and then we look at your claims to make sure that they're sending okay. That's usually done within the first week or so. We don't like to wait too long after you start seeing patients, just in case there are any issues with your claims. We want to catch those early. Okay? And then business administration is all reports. So we kind of do that last. That way you've built up some data in your software that we can actually report on. And we'll show you, we've kind of touched on the reports that are in the software now, but we kind of look at those again. Some common reports that offices use, and how to build your own reports in case there's something that you need that's not already in there. Okay. But again, those 3 sessions are all after you actually you're using the software, you're seeing patients. That's when we want to do those final assembly trainings. So when you get ready for that, if it's September 1st or if it happens earlier or later, that's okay. Just let Lisa know and she'll get those scheduled for you.
Okay.
All right. As far as today, we're going to look at insurance calculation, troubleshooting, claim creation, claim tracking, insurance payments, so allocation on line items, deductibles, payment table updates. We'll also look at creating a predetermination and some additional claim services. And then we'll go to administration and look at some insurance claims set up there. And right at the end, we'll look at reports. So insurance plan report, claim screen, outstanding claims report, and insurance aging. So again, we're in training. You remember last time we kept getting a bunch of error messages whenever we would send claims.
Yeah.
Expect to see that here as well. So, but at least you can go through the process and see what things are going to look like, and that way, once you get started, you'll know if everything's on track. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hand controls over to you.
Okay.
So what was Theo's favorite birthday present this year?
The wrapping paper.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, you hear people say that all the time that have kids. They like to play with the box more than they like their toy, but it's really true. They want the boxes and the paper and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I would. That's what he loves. So hey, you know what? Let him do it if that's what he wants.
Exactly right.
But no, my parents got him like 2 really bookends that were really cool, that weren't really toys, but like for his room. One was like a baseball, one was a football. And then he got a really cool from a couple of our good friends that came down from Indianapolis, like this block. It's like this huge, I don't even know what it's like this big cube, and the top of it looks like a little, like, sort of like a zoo, but also like a racetrack, and then each block, each thing on the side is like one thing is you open them and you see animals, and it was really cool though. And apparently it's organic, so which means that if you choose it, it won't kill him. I don't know, something like that.
That's always a good thing.
Right. So, just something to pay extra for, which is nice. They, am I opening up both, by the way?
Just your training one for now.
Okay. My sister got him a Little People zoo, which was really cool, and one of the extra animals, which was like an elephant, which was really cool. He likes that. Makes cool sounds.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to really blow his mind, give him foil.
Foil?
Let him eat the foil. Like my little one, my 15-month-old, he loves foil. I buy him foil from the grocery store because he can crinkle it, he can unroll it, and he can do all kinds of stuff. And we make shapes, and he carries the shapes around. He loves it.
You don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about them cutting themselves.
Not really. We get like the cheap, the little cheap foil, maybe with heavy duty, and we just make sure he doesn't bite on it or anything. But he loves it. We wrap him up in it, and then he tries to bust out, and he laughs and laughs.
Oh, that's exciting. All right, foil. Good foil. To know.
It's those little unexpected things that grant you an extra hour of quiet time.
Right? A quiet time. What's that?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Okay. So let's go ahead and let's use Braxton. We'll just leave him up. And let's make an appointment for him. And, let's say that this is for a limited exam and a PA and a bite. Do you do PAs and bite wings with kids, or do you just do 2 bite wings?
No, we do PAs and bite wings.
Okay.
So, just a limited exam?
Yeah, let's say he's having a toothache, or I'm being a paranoid mom or something.
Okay. Okay.
Perfect. And then if you have a tag in there, I don't think we created one. If you have one, you can use it. If not, you just go ahead and put in the procedures.
All right. Are we doing anything else or just?
Nope, that looks good.
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead and say okay.
Oops.
And we're going to check him in.
Hold on, let me make it a 0140. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Perfect, and then go ahead and check him out. Okay, so when you launch into the billing screen here, just remember that your patient name is listed at the top, so it shows that the invoice is for Braxton, even though the top of the billing module says my name. Okay, it's going to say my name because I am his responsible party. So your patient name is listed there. You have your procedures listed. Before you click on OK, this invoice can be changed. So if at this point, whoever is up at the front checking this patient out, if they look and they think, oh, I think he took more PAs than just one, they can cancel this and nothing has solidified within the software. So at that point, they can run back to the back, ask you, you can say yes or no, and then they can come in or come back up and recheck out the appointment. Okay? So if everything looks good, go ahead and say okay.
Okay.
Okay, and now your invoice is listed there. It shows the balance and the insurance portion. Now, are you going to be taking, is the majority of your patients going to be Medicaid, or is it a good mix of Medicaid and private insurance?
It'll probably be a mix.
Okay. So I'm going to go through and show you just some of the basic troubleshooting type issues that you might have. For Braxton, since we have him down as Medicaid, he won't have a copay, so everything looks good there the way that it came up. It's not showing any patient portion, okay?
Right.
Let's go ahead and go into his insurance module, though, and I'm just going to point out a few areas that can be sticky sometimes. You have your insurance policy listed there at the top. That's your active policy. Go ahead and double click on that to get into the details of it. Perfect. Now on this screen, and again, this is under the assumption that insurance did not pull up the way that we expected it to. Okay, so either there is a patient portion when there should not be, or there is not a patient portion when there should be. A couple things to look at on this screen particularly are the policy started on and policy ends on dates. The software automatically calculates insurance on that started on date and automatically stops calculating insurance on the ends on date. So we talked about that a little bit before, but this is a big one specifically for the started on date, because if you have new staff that's just starting to kind of learn curve and they're entering insurance, if they inadvertently click on 2018 instead of 2017, even though all the insurance is in there perfectly fine, it's not going to calculate because the system is showing that it hasn't started yet. Okay?
Right.
So this is a common area that catches offices. Sometimes we get questions about this. You know, they'll call, my insurance isn't calculating, I don't know what's going on, and it's a lot of times it's this section right here. And most of the time it's just a mistake. They didn't put it in the right way on accident. So remember that started on, if you don't know an actual effective date, it can be the date that you entered the insurance, but it needs to be before, either on or before when you're making the charges of the patient's billing. Okay? And ends on, again, you probably, a lot of offices don't even really use that, but if your patient were to say that their policy was going to end on a specific date, you could put that in so that you don't miss it. You know, if it's September 1st, we still have a whole nother month. So you would put in the end date, the ends on date. That way, if Braxton came in August, he would still have insurance, but after September 1st, it wouldn't even calculate.
Got
so
it.
Then it's kind of just to help you not to have to keep track of it.
Okay.
Okay. Remember, too, this isn't really about insurance calculation, but that last line there where it says relationship to subscriber, insurance companies will kick claims back for the wrong relationship to subscriber. I've worked in offices and seen that happen so many times, and it's like, oh, that's just ridiculous. But whatever, they want the paperwork to be completely accurate and correct, so just make sure that...
so this would actually be dependent, right, or child?
Well, we have him listed as his own subscriber, I think, because he's Medicaid.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah.
But yeah, otherwise he would be listed as child, and that line always defaults to other. So whenever you're training your front office staff, make sure that they know. It's kind of, you know, since it's at the bottom of the list, it can get missed. Just make sure that they know that they have to go in for every insurance policy. Every person that they give insurance to, they need to look at that and make sure that the correct relationship to subscriber is on there. I would hate for them to leave them all as other, and then you're waiting for insurance payments, and they're not coming because of that.
Right.
Okay? All right. If you'll click on Edit Plan for me. So this takes you into your actual coverage details. Since Braxton has Medicaid, we have this listed at 100%, which leaves him with no copay. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. And we have the maximums listed as unlimited, right? Because he's Medicaid.
Right.
So I bring this up because I have trained offices, and I can't really say that they're wrong. It's just I think your perspective, that if there is no maximum, sometimes, depending on how someone's looking at it, it translates as zero. There's zero maximum. That's not the case in Curve, okay? It has to either say unlimited or have an actual value that is something other than zero.
Okay, I mean, to me it makes sense. 0 is 0, unlimited is unlimited.
Right, but I mean, this is common.
Right.
So depending on who you hire, you know, you may want to just make sure that they know that that has to say either unlimited or an actual value. 0, the system reads that as there is no maximum to be met, as in they don't have any money on their insurance.
Right.
Okay? Same thing with the percentages. We have everything marked at 100% because Medicaid pays 100% of their fee schedule, and you're accepting their fee schedule, therefore they're paying 100%. That does not mean there aren't percentages, right? Because there's no copay. There is a percentage, they're paying 100%. It's just of their fees and not your fees.
Right.
So not only with Medicaid, but for any kind of fee schedule plan, I know Blue Cross Blue Shield has quite a few fee schedule plans. Lots of times government entities, state workers, sometimes even teachers, their dental insurance will be based off of a fee schedule. Anytime it's a fee schedule, your percentages are going to say 100% because they're paying 100% of their fees.
Okay.
Okay. Now, that being said, if you charge $100 for a limited exam and this state worker that is your patient, the fee schedule is $50, they still have a copay of $50 because the fee schedule is paying 100% of their fees, not yours.
Got it. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Right. Now, unless we have a contract with them, right?
Exactly. Unless you're in network, at that time you're agreeing to take their fee, so they would not have a copay.
Right.
But if it's specifically a fee schedule plan, and your staff will know this because whenever they call to get percentages and verify the insurance, and they ask for the percentages, the insurance agent will tell them there are no percentages. It's a fee schedule. So they're going to know right off the bat, oh, okay, this doesn't pay off of percentages. It's a fee schedule only. At that time, instead of putting in the 180.50 that you usually would put in, they're going to click on payment table, right by coverage table,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to enter in the actual fees.
Got it.
Okay? Now, one thing about fee schedules, you probably already know this, but just in case you don't, sometimes if you're out of network, they won't give you the fees. So,
oh, that's right.
Because you're not contracted. So I've certainly had insurances say, no, we're not going to tell you how much we pay because you're not contracted with us. So you don't basically they're saying like you don't have a right to know that.
Right.
Well,
so you force the patient to pay 100% and then they get reimbursed, I guess, or
you can do that. What I've done with my patients in the past is let them know, hey, I called your insurance. They won't tell me what the fees are on your fee schedule, but you should have gotten a booklet whenever you signed up with this insurance. If you have that booklet, can you bring it in?
Got
and then they'll bring in the book. Well, the book has all the fees in it. We make copies of it and put the fees in that way. So that's just kind of one way to get around it. But certainly if you don't have the fees and the patient isn't willing to give you the fees or doesn't know where that is, then you could tell them, I've done this before in treatment planning too. I've presented the treatment plan with them paying everything. And then, of course, on the treatment plan, the codes are there. And I've told them, okay, you're either going to have to pay everything up front or here are the specific codes. You can call your insurance and ask them for the fees for these codes and then call me and I'll do the math for you.
Got it. That makes sense. Now, do we say that, is there, I know obviously we can enter in fee guides ahead of time. There is a way to enter payment tables ahead of time? I forgot that we were going to look into that for Medicaid.
Yeah, there is not a way to enter payment tables ahead of time unless you go ahead and, even if you went ahead and created the insurance, I don't think that you're not going to be able to enter it ahead of time. But you can enter it for the first time you bill it, and then it'll be saved there.
Okay.
Okay.
Just so for that patient or for any time like that patient has?
For any patient that uses that insurance.
Okay.
So like this plan that we have here, this Medicaid plan, that's going to be for anybody that has the same Medicaid with the same group number.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
So now does it need to be like, can I just make up a patient?
Yeah, you can. You can make up test patients, and I would just title them Insurance Test 1, Insurance Test 2, Insurance Test 3, especially for like you were talking about those 3 main Medicaid payers that you have.
Right.
Go ahead and create just fake patients for those, and once you're done, you can archive the patients, but the insurance plan stays saved in your database.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. All right, so doctor, are you pretty clear on the difference between the coverage table and the payment table and how to manage that insofar as you're going to need to explain that to staff? So are you clear on it? Are you confused at all about it in any way? Do you need me to repeat anything?
I think I understand. I mean, I'm sure I'll have to review it, but it seems pretty straightforward.
Most of the time, anybody that's worked with dental insurance will, as soon as you say it to them, they'll either know already or they'll understand. It's usually people that don't have a lot of experience with dental insurance that it gets a little convoluted just because of the way you talk about it is a little bit confusing. So, but there is the main point here is there is a separate area for the coverage table and the payment table, depending on what type of plan you're entering. And if your insurance is not calculating correctly, the payment table will override the coverage table. What I mean by that is if you have, let's use a limited exam again, okay? If you have limiteds in there at 100%, but then someone updates the payment table when the insurance payment is made and enters in a payment of $17, well, now every time you bill that insurance, the system is going to think that insurance pays $17 because the fee is in there. So it's going to stop saying, okay, it covers it at 100%. It's going to start saying that it pays it at $17.
Okay.
That's a common insurance calculation issue because whenever you check a patient out, or I'm sorry, whenever you post an insurance payment, you have the option to update the payment table, which is a great thing to do if you know for sure that insurance pays that payment every time.
Got it. And that would be if like they updated their fees or whatever.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yep. And I've seen insurances that they pay 100%, but on this one procedure they pay literally $2 less. Well, you want to know that because the majority of patients want to go ahead and pay their bill while they're there. They do not like being told that they don't owe anything and then getting a bill, even if it's just for $2. So it's good to update the payment table. That way you can be accurate with your patients and saying, hey, I know this is small, but there's a $2 copay. And they're usually fine with that. The issue comes whenever you're updating the payment table when it shouldn't be, which is when a deductible has been applied. Obviously, the insurance payment is going to be lower. So you don't want to update the payment table then because then you're updating it based off of the lower payment with a deductible taken out.
Because they paid their initial, yeah, that makes sense.
Right. And then another big one is composites. Lots of times composites are downgraded to an amalgam fee. Well, you don't know if it's going to be like that every time. So that's not usually a good time to update a payment table because, again, there's been an adjustment to the usual payment from the insurance company.
Okay.
But if on a crown your insurance pays $614 every time, no matter what, that's what they pay on a crown, then you can go ahead and update the payment table. That way the patient is getting a really super accurate treatment plan from here on out into the future, rather than kind of guesswork as to, well, we think they're going to pay this percentage, but we're not sure. Well, no, we are sure because they pay $614 every time. So we know that's what they're going to pay.
Got it. That makes sense. Yeah, that's probably one of that's one of the questions that the insurance company asks. I forgot in terms of, right here you say plan note, sealants covered, things like that, fluoride, how many bite wings, and then the other question is downgrade for composite.
Right, exactly. Another one that I've seen that's really common, I'm just trying to think of like common things that I've seen that would cause a discrepancy like that. Sometimes if you do a limited and you take too many PAs, the insurance will turn that into their 4 bite wing stipulation for the year.
That's right. Okay.
So then, of course, you did a limited, you took PAs, that wasn't their standard routine check kind of care visit, but insurance is going to say, oh, no, we're not paying for that many x-rays, so now that's it, they don't get x-rays anymore. Okay. Well, if your front desk gets the payment with the bite wings kicked back, they could update the payment table saying, okay, we don't really know what update payment table means, so we're going to click this, and we're going to make this happen. But then it looks like bite wings aren't covered. They are covered. They're just not covered in this specific instance for this patient at this time of the year.
Right.
So just stuff like that. Important to know what that payment table does for those reasons because, again, if you're giving estimates to patients, you don't want to over-collect or under-collect. People do not like you to mess with their money.
No, they don't.
No, they don't. So, and I've been in that position where, it's been such a small discrepancy and you call them and they're like, well, you told me I didn't owe anything else. I thought I paid everything. And it's like, well, you did. you did, and I'm sorry, but it happens that way. So it's always good to avoid that if you can and be as transparent as you can.
Right.
Okay, so these are the major troubleshooting things, okay? If your insurance is not calculating look at the payment table, make sure that nothing was entered there when it should not have been. The unlimiteds on the maximums, that's a huge one. People will put zeros there, and I don't understand it, but they do it. So that's a good place to look. If you know that everything else is entered right and it's still not coming up with an insurance portion, check those maximums just to make sure somebody didn't accidentally put zero or think that zero meant unlimited or whatever the case may be.
Okay.
And then, of course, on the screen before this, so go ahead and cancel. The starts on and ends on dates on this screen. That will cause your insurance to not calculate even though everything else is entered perfectly fine. So these are just common catch areas that offices seem to have issues with that I'd like to bring up. That way, especially when you first get started, if you're having an issue, it's a Medicaid patient and they're showing a copay. Well, why? Why are they showing a copay? Now you can go through and just kind of know what some of those sticky areas are.
Got it. And what again? The coverage used outside Curve Hero?
Go ahead and click on that. So here you can basically, this wouldn't be for Braxton with his Medicaid, but if a patient used $300 at another office, you can enter those values and it'll take it off of the maximum.
Got it.
So your maximum might be $1,500, but this specific patient might only have $1,200 left for the year.
Got it. Okay.
That only shows up whenever what's the best way to say this? So you enter in the insurance. I'm going to show you. Go ahead and cancel out of this. Okay, and let's add a new policy to Braxton.
Okay.
So now in this box, do you see that option isn't there?
No, right, correct.
Okay, so up where it says insurance plan for the policy, the first line, go ahead and type in curve. And don't worry about any of that other stuff. Just go ahead and say add policy.
Okay.
And then open that one up, that secondary. Double click on it.
Oops.
And now the option's there. So it only comes up once you actually enter the plan in and kind of finalize that, yes, this is the right insurance for the patient. Close out of it and go back into it, and your option is there to put in coverage at another place.
Okay.
Okay?
Cool.
Any questions about any of this?
Don't think so.
Okay. You remember how to move plans around, right? Do you remember the difference between putting in family and historical?
So historical would be if nobody in the family's got it anymore, right?
Right.
And then family would be, it could still be in the family, but that person doesn't have it anymore.
Exactly. Yep. I've had offices ask me before, what's the purpose of that? Well, specifically for your office, doctor, with a pedo office, if mom and dad, if the insurance kind of flip-flops, but not all of the family has changed insurances, it's really convenient to be able to manipulate that. And also, if, mom has 4 kids and everybody switched over to a new plan, it's much more convenient to move that down to historical and take it off of everyone versus having to go to all 5 people to take the insurance off and reconnect it.
Right.
So that's kind of the purpose of it. Again, whenever you're training staff and you're hiring people, just make sure that they know that if they move something to historical, it needs to be because it's a total change for that patient and any other family members that might have that. And like I said, it's as simple as just asking the patient, oh, okay, you said your insurance changed. Was that just for you or is that for everybody?
Okay.
And they'll tell you. Okay? Okay, perfect. Pre-estimates. You can send pre-estimates from charting. So let's go ahead and go into Braxton's charting. We'll keep using him even though we know he's Medicaid, so that's probably not a great example, but and this screen always just takes a minute to load. I was looking at that going, what's wrong with the screen? Oh yeah, it's the stuff that
it's the stuff that I wrote.
Last time.
Can you clear like what you've written?
You can't. You have to use the little erase tool and erase it.
Okay.
Okay. That would be a great suggestion to send in as a ticket.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's right click on any of these visits that are listed here. Okay. So this is how you'll send a predetermination. Basically, you can send a predetermination in the visit. You print a treatment plan from the tab. Okay, so if you wanted to print out a treatment plan, that option is in the actual tab where it says Plan 4, Plan 5, Schedule 2018. To print a predetermination, you right-click on the visit itself.
Okay.
And then you would just choose Send Predetermination, and it would populate for you. Go ahead and send out a predetermination for whatever's inside of that visit. It's been a while now, so I don't remember. So your advanced claims box pops up here. Do you remember how to see what's inside of this?
Line items.
That's right. Good job.
Okay.
Oh, good. It's an extraction. Okay, and then if you needed to add any additional information, you could click on your advanced options. Do you remember where to put your narratives?
Well, let's see. Put it on maybe to summary or no?
No, you're actually that advanced options that you opened up. You have a notes section right there towards the end.
Here.
Of notes.
Okay.
Yep. So anytime you need to put a narrative or a note for insurance, it's going to go right there, and that actually fills in the narrative portion of your claim.
Okay.
If you're ever unsure, you can always right-click on your claims and view a manual claim. I think it says view manual or print manual. Either way, it'll pull the actual claim up on your screen so that you can make sure that everything's filled out the way you want it to be filled out if you're used to looking at paper claims for stuff.
Okay. Now, I just want to click on here. Okay, so I wonder if it can. So I actually have to know the whatever K0.7 or whatever. I forgot what the.
I don't know what that does, but there's a little. When you hovered over the A, there was a little I in a circle.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, here. Up to 4, it just says yeah. Because there's some in the medical software that I use. It actually there's a search tool, so I can just type in.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just really cool because especially the ICD-10, so I can type in a symptom or whatever, and it'll give it to me, which is cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, but there's only like probably 6 that I would use for dentistry, so it's not that hard to memorize. Makes it easier.
Try to click on. Do you
look up? There we go.
There you go.
Yeah. So let's you put carries. Let's see if that. No, let's see ICD-10 CDAM codes. I know one of them's a K. There we go. Dental carries. There you go. Limited to enamel, penetrating a pulp. So I use this one a lot for K0 2.53 or Pitt and Fisher surface, chewing surface penetrating into pulp for pulpotomies. Instead of sending
it. And so this is billed to the medical insurance or the Medicaid itself?
No, dental insurance. You put this on your dental. Yeah, so the new 2012 ADA form, they now have the ICD-10 codes, which is cool because a lot of times K0 2.9 is the main one. That, instead of sending x-rays or them questioning whether it's, well, here's the diagnosis. I mean, that's what they do in medicine. They don't send 8,000 x-rays and MRIs. A lot of times it's... Right. So, so now you can just enter in the ICD-10 code, and so usually you can enter up to 4. So let's say your whole treatment plan has small cavity, so carries limited to dentin. That will be one code. Ones that need nerve treatment carries penetrating into pulp, necrotic pulp, that would be an extraction. So there's always So every treatment plan, every line item has an ICD-10 code associated with it, which is basically what's the diagnosis.
Right.
So it makes it makes it a lot easier.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I didn't even really know that it linked it to right here either. So see, I learned something today too.
See, how about that?
My next training, I'll be like, and then you can click right here for that.
Right? See?
And they'll think I'm so smart. It'll be awesome. Okay, so I think you might have to cancel and then resend.
Okay.
To get that off of there.
Oops.
And it was on the visit name.
I don't know.
There might not be anything in that one.
Plan here, but here. There we go. Okay, so line items. Okay, so this one's got more. That's good.
Perfect.
Okay, so send a batch or...
Yeah, go ahead and send this one to batch. And then, of course, we get our error message. Now, we're skipping past these pretty quickly here in training just because there's not a lot we can do about them right now unless we want to go and just fill out everybody's information completely. But whenever you're actually, like, in your practice, make sure that they know whenever they get those errors to go ahead and fix them right then. Don't leave it till the end of the day where now you have to spend an hour putting in people's zip codes and dates of birth and stuff.
Okay.
The error message will tell you exactly what's missing and what needs to be entered. So it's very easy right at that time to say, okay, fix your errors and then resubmit or regenerate your claim.
Okay.
Okay? All right, perfect. Now, as far as claim creation goes, go ahead and go back to Braxton's billing. And do you remember how to submit a claim?
I think so. You click on invoice and then... No, maybe not.
Right click.
Yeah.
You had it right, yeah. There you go. And then you have your different options there. So you can send a batch with an attachment, send advance claim, or print a manual claim. So you'll choose whatever you want to choose out of those. Go ahead and just say send a batch for now. Perfect. And then, of course, those messages bother my OCD.
Yep, me too.
You too. All right. And then in order to see his claims, so you have two options that you can view claims. One is through the sidekick. So you have claims right underneath insurance. That's going to show you the claims just for Braxton. Okay? So that's specific to the patient active in the sidekick. And if you read the sentence up at the top, it says filtering for all claims for Braxton between these dates for type all. Okay? Now, if you'll go to your more option, and then click on all claims. This is more commonly used, so this is the same sentence up at the top, all claims for all between these dates for type all. But you notice that this is showing you claims for all of your patients. So we have Candlestick, Tomater, and Braxton listed here.
Okay.
Okay, now of course the claim status here is all invalid, but what you should see is in batch, and then at the end of the day, you would go down to the bottom of the screen and you would click on Send All Batch Claims. And then your status should change to Scheduled to Send.
Okay.
If that is not happening within your first 1 to 2 to 3 days of using the software, if that is not happening and it's not happening kind of like across the board, and you're not seeing that switch at all, call customer service. Okay. Now, ideally, we would be doing a shadow session at some point in those first couple of days, so you could bring it up with me or whoever your trainer is at that point in the training too. But we don't want to wait too long to have your claim sent. So if you see that it's like every claim status just says in batch and it won't switch over, or every claim status is invalid or something like that, then go ahead and call customer service. That way you don't wait too long to send your claims.
Okay.
Okay, that is one of the things that we're going to check in your advanced sessions, though. When I do those advanced sessions, that's usually the first thing I say whenever we do that billing review is, okay, before we get into anything, go ahead and show me your claim screen. And I'm looking, too, to make sure that everything looks right. I've done that before, and I've seen a lot of invalid. Okay, well, why are all these invalid? And then usually that opens up, well, I was trying to do this, and it didn't work right, or I was trying to, I forgot to put this, or whatever. So important to pay attention to this. This is your money coming back, so we definitely don't want this to be delayed at all.
Okay.
Okay. Now the filters up at the top. Go ahead and click on the first all for me. And you have all of these different types of statuses. So these are the claim statuses: submitted, sent, forwarded, invalid, scheduled to send. So basically, these are the claim status over on the right. It's going to change to one of these. And then go ahead and hover over the blue word all in the sentence structure.
The
that you just clicked on, the all you just clicked on.
This?
Yep, and then click on the little I.
Okay.
So now if you're wondering what any of those statuses mean, you know, if something turns a status that you haven't seen before, like forwarded or something like that, then you can click on that little I and it'll tell you exactly what those statuses mean.
Okay.
Okay? If you want to print this out, I think that there's a guide in Community that gives you the same list. So if you wanted to print it out and put it up front or something until everybody gets used to the software, you can do that too.
Okay.
Okay. Now the second all that's listed there, that means all patients. So if you're in here, you're looking for something specific, maybe you're not finding a claim that you're looking for, you can always click on that all and type in a patient's name if you know the patient's name offhand. And then it'll change to pull up just the status or just the claims for that one patient. The last all there, if you'll click on that last all, this is basically showing, it's filtering your view. So if you wanted to view just eligibility requests, you could change it to eligibility. Claims only, change it to claims. If you have a treatment coordinator that's following up with predeterminations, you can change it to predeterminations. And then it'll filter out the different claim types.
Okay.
Okay? All right, now also down at the bottom, you have blank claim forms that you can print out. So if you have a situation where insurance pays the patient, maybe you're not doing the billing for that patient or you need a claim form for any reason, you can go down to the bottom of the screen and right next to that send all batch claims option, you have a blank 2012 and blank 2006 claim form that you can print.
Hey.
Okay?
Cool.
Okay. Now, as far as your claims go, you can go up to your More option and go into Administration for me. And then we're going to click on Insurance Management. And click on Claim Configuration for me, please. Okay, now that first line there that says default e-claim submission status in batch, go ahead and click on in batch. So basically what this section does is it's just a feature in the software where instead of having to click on send all selected claims in that all claims screen, you can default that here, which basically makes it so that as soon as you create a claim, it goes out. So you don't ever have to actually send claims. It just goes out for you.
Okay.
Okay. Now there's good things about that and bad things, just like everything in life. The good thing is you don't have to remember to send claims, which is awesome. Especially if you have someone that's kind of in charge of sending claims and maybe they're out because they got sick or something like that. You don't ever have to worry that your claims didn't get sent out because they're going to automatically go out every time they're created. The bad thing is whenever you choose scheduled to send, you cannot retrieve those claims. So if you are in a situation where you're wanting your front office to review the claims before they're sent out, maybe if there's a lot of errors being made right in the beginning and everybody's adjusting, might be better to leave it at in batch until you get a chance to make sure that everything's running smoothly and then switch it over to scheduled to send automatically. Because, like I said, it does go out right away. So I think it's like 5 to 10 seconds or something, and it goes out. So you don't have a chance to say, oh, I forgot to put a PA on there. Or, oh, that tooth number's wrong. We did the tooth next to it, or anything like that.
Got it.
Okay? But, once you have everybody in place and everything is running smoothly, your assistants are checking codes and tooth numbers and tooth surfaces in the back before you complete treatment. Your front desk is making sure that all of the insurance stuff is put in correctly. Usually when you're at that point in your practice, it's perfectly fine to just choose schedule to send so you don't even have to worry about sending those claims out.
Okay.
Okay. Most offices will keep it at in batch, especially when they're first starting out, or if it's a bigger practice where multiple people kind of have their hands on the claims at some point or another during the day, just to make sure there's one blanket person that's overseeing and checking to say, yes, this all looks good, we'll send it. But if that's not the case and it's kind of, dedicated to one person already, just know that you can streamline that.
Okay.
Okay. While we're in here, if you'll click over on insurance question values. So these as well, you can default these questions. Do you remember these questions from the profile, the 4 questions?
Yeah.
Okay. You can default these for either new contacts and patients only or existing only, depending on if you're doing a conversion or not, which you're not. So it would be new contacts and patients. And basically, you can set these to be whatever you want them to be. So if they all need to be yes, you can set it that way. If you're completely non-assignment, you can set it that way. But basically, every new patient, this is what their question values will default to.
So you probably want to change. I would may change these. And release model data. Yeah.
Now, for offices that aren't really sure, and especially for offices that have had a little bit of a difficult time understanding what those questions do, I usually recommend not to change them and leave them all at no, so that you're manually having to read them, evaluate them, and change them accordingly. You seem to have a pretty good grip on what those questions do, though, so I think that you're fine with changing those. But depending on how it's going once you hire your front office staff, you might want to change those back if you start seeing that you're having issues with that. Okay. All right. So remember to get into this section. It's administration and then insurance management.
Okay. Now for claim configuration, shouldn't everybody be converting to the 2012, or are there some people that some carriers that only want 2006 still, or?
No, I don't think so. I think everybody's changed over to 2012.
Okay.
I don't really know why that would be just an option, because I think it defaults to 2012 anyways.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe if you had older claims from a different software that you were converting over.
Okay.
Then you might have to check that to convert those older claims. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So let's go back into Braxton's billing. Okay. So now we have his invoices here. Let's say that it's a few weeks later and insurance pays. So let's go ahead and post an insurance payment for that last invoice. Are you pretty comfortable at this point kind of reading what's on the screen, knowing that it goes from top to bottom? Each invoice is its own separate thing. Are you good with all that so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and yep, exactly. Good job. And now, do you remember where you indicated here that this payment's coming from insurance and not the patient?
Here.
Close.
Here.
Yep. Good job.
Okay.
So now, whenever this pulls up, remember that you can either, if that's how much insurance paid and everything looks good according to your EOB, you can go ahead and say okay. If you need to change things by line item, maybe insurance paid $10 less on that limited or something like that, you can change this by line item.
Okay.
If the payment is less than the amount that's stipulated here, so if the payment was not $134, if it was $70, what Curve would do is it would take that $70 and start applying it from the top line, so from the PA, all the way down until it runs out of $70. So it's not going to know by line item what did not get paid and what did. It's just going to take it from the top and apply it all the way down until there's no more money to apply. Okay? So offices sometimes will ask, well, do I have to do it by line item? And my standard response to that is yes.
Yeah.
And the reason why is this, okay? If you did not do that, and if the numbers worked out where it looked like the limited wasn't covered or something like that, okay? Well, you have your EOB right in front of you when you're posting the payment, so it's really easy at this point to just enter it by line item so that everything is accurate and correct. But if you did not do that, and then 2 weeks later your patient calls and says, why do I have a bill? Someone else answers the phone, or maybe you answer the phone and you don't remember that you're the one that put in that insurance. You're going to look at it and say, oh, well, your limited wasn't covered. What's that patient going to do? they're going to call their insurance, right?
Right.
They're going to call their insurance and they're going to say, why wasn't my exam covered? And the insurance is going to say it was covered. Okay, so now they're calling you back. They're confused. People do not like for you to mess with their money, so it's a big deal, okay?
Got it.
Much, much easier after all of that to just enter in by line item. That way, everything is in here. You don't have to reference an EOB. When patient calls and says, why do I have a balance? You can look directly at the invoice. You know that it was entered correctly, and you can say at that point with confidence, this x-ray wasn't covered, or that exam wasn't covered, or whatever the case may be.
Okay.
Okay? So, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Notice down at the bottom your two options, apply deductible and update payment table. Okay? If you were to apply a deductible at this point, it would then make Braxton have a balance. Okay? The key is to have the deductible information already in the system. That way, the computer is calculating it that way when they're paying their copays at their initial visit. But sometimes they sneak deductibles up on you. And you don't know that they apply a deductible to limited until you actually bill a limited and get the payment back. So in that case, you would want to click on apply deductible. You can go ahead and click there. We won't apply one to them, but I just want to show you what it looks like again. And then you can put in the deductible by line item. So if it was $25 on one, $25 on the other, or $50 went towards the PA or the limited, or whatever the case may be, you can enter that deductible there. Okay? Next to that is update payment table. Go ahead and click on update payment table for me. Okay, so here you have everything entered by line item. Okay? You can update the payment table based off of the payment that you've entered. So given that the line items were entered correctly, if it's something that you needed to update, such as that limited, if they consistently pay $5 less for the limited, you can check the box to update the payment table just for that limited or for everything.
Okay.
Strongly advise that you update payment tables for anything that you know is pretty certain. Strongly advise that you do not update payment tables for things that are changing, such as deductibles were applied or something was downgraded, a code was changed, something like that. Okay, if you wanted to update this, you would just check the boxes next to the line items you're updating and then click on update payment table and it'll update that for you. So the next time Braxton comes in and gets this procedure done, it'll give you the correct copay amount.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. Over on the left, there's a sentence at the bottom that says, I want to make this payment and go. Go ahead and click on that go for me. Here you have the option to go, which does nothing but finalize the payment, or print, which prints out a receipt. Really handy if patient ends up having a balance, because you don't have to go back in and right-click to print a receipt. You can just say print from right here. It'll post the payment and print out the receipt that you then can send to the patient to say, hey, you still owe a little bit of money or whatever the case may be. Okay? Offices have asked me, what do I do with my EOB after I enter this? What do I do? I always recommend that you keep your EOBs at least for a certain amount of time for reference. And remember that you can scan those and store them in files and letters. So if this was me working at your office, I would post this payment. I would right-click and put a note, payment entered by Tiffany, EOB, and files and letters. And then I would scan the EOB and files and letters so that at any point, if anybody had any questions about this payment, patient calls and wants to know what their insurance paid, we know right where to go, and we know where to go to find their actual EOB if we need to send them a copy or whatever.
Okay. I'm trying to think of where I would enter in a note.
It's on the invoice line.
Oh, got it. Okay. Wait.
Okay.
Where's the... No.
What are you looking for?
Which, oh, here, this line. Oh, there we go. Add note. Perfect. We got it.
Okay.
Yay.
All right, so go ahead and say okay. And so now if you wanted to add a note, you would just click on that invoice number 292, the one that's showing us paid. Yep. And let's put a note just so that you can see what that looks like. And this is why I would make sure to put a note. I really love the way this comes up. So just put test or something. Okay, and then save your note.
Okay, keep it in billing.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
And your note shows up right there with the payment.
Got it.
So again, if someone else answers the phone after I've entered this payment, they can clearly see who made the payment, where's the EOB, and I probably even would put, if something wasn't paid that should have been, PA not covered due to frequency limitations. And I would just put it on there because you don't even have to click anywhere else. You don't have to go digging for the information. I love that about Curve. So
now, can you enter in more than one tag? So like when I put in files and letters, it also shows up there, or
yes,
okay.
Yep, you can add as many tags as you want to.
Okay.
So can you right click on that note and say edit? And now your tag's down there at the bottom, so you can tag it as many of these as you need to.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
So files, letters.
And remember, some of these tags do special stuff. So like the critical one, since we're talking about insurance, maybe if this was Braxton's last payment from insurance before he was maxed out for the year, you could leave that tagged as billing, but in your note, you could also tag it as critical, and it will show up with any other notes that you're viewing throughout the software. It attaches itself to any other tags.
Okay. How do you make it as critical again?
Click on the tags again.
Oh, critical.
And then critical. And remember that turns the actual word notes over in the sidekick red.
Okay.
And then anytime you filter for notes, that critical note is also displayed no matter what you're filtering for.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Any questions about how that works, Doctor?
Nope.
Okay. Last thing we're going to look at is reports. So go ahead and go up to your more option. Okay, and click on reports for me. And then let's click on insurance reports. Okay, so there's a couple of different reports in here. The main one is outstanding claims report, obviously for insurance aging purposes. You can go ahead and click on that and generate that report so you can see what it looks like. I hope there'll be some stuff in here. You can leave everything set as all for right now just because there's not a lot of data in this training database. And then just, run report. Okay, so we got a few little things here. This is basically how it would look. It would be listed by insurance carrier. So you see where it says Delta Dental of Arizona?
Mm-hmm.
It'll say that all the way down the line, which is really convenient because it kind of categorizes it. So if you're calling Delta, you know that you have these patients that you need to call Delta for. And then you also have print up at the top right-hand corner. And then you have export to CSV. So you're going to see export to CSV on all of your reports. You can export this data into an Excel type program if you want or need to. Okay. Sometimes offices like to do things like print mailing labels or print recall cards, things like that. So that's what that export to CSV does for you. It exports it so that you can do whatever you want to with the data in a different spreadsheet-like format.
Okay. Spreadsheet-like format.
Yeah. All right. Additional claim services. So additional claim services include ERA, eligibility, and NEA. Do you know what any of those things are?
I know the NEA is the attachment.
Yes. NEA is the attachment. ERA is the ability to receive electronic explanation of benefits. Okay?
Okay.
You do have to enroll for ERA, and Curve can assist you with the setup. I don't know anything beyond that as far as if there's an extra charge, how you enroll, any of that I don't know. But just know that it's available, that you can get electronic explanation of benefits. It says not all insurance participate though, and I think there's like three of them that don't, maybe. So something to check on if you're interested. Okay. Eligibility. Curve does have an eligibility service, and it actually works really well. It gives you a lot of information very quickly, and I actually prefer it over looking on insurance company websites and things like that. So as far as eligibility goes, go ahead and go back to Braxton, or go back to Curve.
So now, is that instead of ERA, or that's a type of ERA?
No, it's in addition to ERA. So ERA is just electronic explanation of benefits. So once a claim comes back with a payment, that paper that comes back with it, that's the EOB. That EOB is going to tell you by line item what insurance paid and why they did not pay for something if something wasn't covered.
Got it. Okay. So this is eligibility.
Right. Eligibility would be like if a new patient calls and you're calling to check their benefits before you put them into the system. Eligibility is going to tell you what their maximums and percentages are, how much have they used, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Okay, so click on Braxton's insurance module for me. And then if you have the eligibility service, basically what you would do is you would right click on either of these insurance plans. And then it says send eligibility request. So you would click on that. And literally within like 5 seconds, you would be able to right click on it again. And it would then say view eligibility request. Okay. And then it would come up on your screen that you could save it, you could print it, you could do whatever you wanted to with it.
Okay. Now, how do I get set up with that?
It says no enrollment is required, and I believe you just let Lisa know, and she'll attach that to your database.
Okay.
Okay. Again, I don't know if there's an extra charge or not, so that might be something you would want to ask her. But the eligibility option on here works really, really well. I've seen some that it's just kind of like bare minimal information that if you're looking at it, you're going, well, I'm still going to have to call the insurance. This has like a good amount of information. So the likelihood that you wouldn't have something that you needed is pretty slim.
Okay, cool.
So that's pretty cool. Okay. And then, of course, NEA, that's a third-party company, and that's for attachments.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we already talked about your insurance question values and your report. Do you have any questions about anything that we've gone over so far, kind of in preparation for your review?
Nope.
Okay. Now, in your review, I'm going to, we're basically just walk through a new patient workflow, but I'm not going to help you at all. And it's going to kill me, doctor, because I'm used to kind of telling people what they need to do, you know? So when I see somebody floundering, it's like, oh, I want to tell them so bad. So basically, I'll just give you prompts. Okay, do this. Okay, now go here. Now do this. Now we need to do this. And I'm watching to make sure that you kind of have a good grip on how to go through a full workflow. And usually in the process, questions and things arise. So just be prepared for that. Certainly, if you have any questions, feel free to write them down. There's going to be time at the end of that one for question and answer type session. So if there's anything you want to look at or re-review or something that you need a better understanding of, we can definitely go over things then.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Do you want to go ahead and set that up before I let you go today?
Yeah, let's, what do you have on Wednesday?
Wednesday. Let's see here. I have 2 o'clock my time, which is
3 my time.
3 your time.
Okay, that's good.
Or I have in the morning, I have 8 o'clock my time, which is 9 your time.
3 is good. Or 3 my time.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put you in for 2 o'clock on Wednesday the 2nd.
Okay.
If you need anything between now and then, you can let me know. If we need to change anything, please let me know. Otherwise, just go give that baby hugs.
I will. I will.
All right, doctor. Thank you so much for meeting with me today. I'll talk to you again on Wednesday, okay?
Okay, sounds great.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, bye.
Bye-bye.